everyone. If you're watching a recording, do fast forward 3 minutes. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Oops. Is that better? No, that's not better. What is going on there? Okay, is that better? We're doing a sound check here if you're wondering what's going on. Okay. I don't know what that story is, but we'll go ahead and leave that there. That cord there. Which, hold on. See if I can fix that a little bit better. Okay, how about that? Okay. And there we have it. And you can hear me. All right, so starting in 2 minutes here, doing the whole tech check, make sure everything is up and running. We are just about there today. I think I got all my tools, right? Get everything out. It's Makeover Monday. Let's see. Let's start up the chat. See if it works today. Is Mercury still in retrograde? Let's take a look. I think Mercury's still in retrograde. Let's see. It's going to June 22nd. Yay us. Eesh. What does that mean for everybody? Do you guys believe in that stuff? I do. Okay, so it looks like QTalk is up, but maybe not my personal page, but that's okay. If we don't come up on there, that's fine. I'm not so worried about that. But anyway, so yeah, do you believe in Mercury? I do. Because, it's like every single stinking time Mercury's in retrograde, something blows up. And, well, the laptop, we're still working on that. We're very close to being completely up and running. Yes, migration of a laptop really, really, really stinks. No, I'm going to say it like this. It really sucks. So, yeah, I went round and round in circles, and I have officially signed up for a cloud backup, which should happen weekly. So, I'm sorry? Okay, so Andy's telling me YouTube is not up. And, okay, let me flip that on and off then. And this one on, off. Okay, we'll see what happens. Hi, Cheryl. Yes, either Mercury in retrograde or the full moon. Wasn't there a full moon last week? Oh, that was sort of nuts too. But yeah, totally everything, always. I should really mark it on my calendar so then, we can plan for these things as much as you can plan for a computer dying or a laptop dying, I suppose. But anyway, so yeah, it's official. We have cloud backup once a week, so it wouldn't be so bad, I hope, for the next time, if it happens the next time. But maybe this won't happen again because I actually bought cloud backup. It is what it is. Anyway, okay, it's 1 o'clock. Let's get started. Hi everyone, it's QFOM Gray. I am simulcasting on 4 channels, supposedly. Andy tells me that I'm only up on Twitch and QTalk on Facebook, but I'm supposed to also be on my personal Facebook page and YouTube, so it'll probably show up later. I get a feeling there's a bit of a lag. Andy wanted to let you all know that we have a storm rolling in, which means we just might lose connection because we live in the sticks, and this is what happens when you live in the sticks, right? So anyway, so that is what's going on. That's what's going on today. So we have Makeover Monday today. What does that mean? That means I am going to redo a project from the past that felt a little uninspired and just, give it a little makeover and see where we can take it. Just wanted to make a quick note, too, that this week there has been a change-up with On Wednesday, Melody McDuffie also got hit by Mercury. Her computer has also died, so I told her to not stress out because I'm still in town. The reason why I scheduled her in was I was supposed to be out of town, but I'm not leaving until Thursday. So I'm going to go ahead and do another UFO on Wednesday, and Melody will make an appearance sometime in the next few weeks instead. So we're going to give her a little bit of time to get her technology up and running. Looks like she's buying a new laptop and have to go through the migration process too. Huh, I know. No fun. This is what we do. So that's what's happening on Wednesday. And then, of course, this weekend, I am off to Mississippi. Yes, I've been to Mississippi there. So if you're local to the Long Beach, Mississippi area, do come by, register for a class. Registration is still open, and you can register at sasbydesign.net. So let's get started on this project. So what is the project? Let's jump in here. The project was, I didn't look as to when we did this, but we did this quite a few months ago, probably, I'm guessing 5 months ago. So this was the Minimal Metal Monday, one of the last ones, and it was called Caprice. It for me was a little uninspired, and I was like, I wonder what we can do with it and make it a little bit more interesting. So what we're going to do today is we are going to make it into this bracelet, as you can see here. And there's a little bit more dimension to this bracelet at this point, and I think it's a little bit more interesting what we're going to do with it. Pretty much it's all the same. Are very similar to what we did last time, but again, we're going to step it up a notch. By the way, you can buy a download of the instructions at theurbanbeater.com. The link has been posted on each one of the pages here so that you can see, so that you can go to it directly. However, I will say if you had already previously purchased the Caprice project, I went ahead and uploaded that, and you can just log back into the site and get the second set of instructions for the bracelet. So you don't have to pay twice. But for those of you who have not purchased it before or would like to show your support, it's only $5, and it's a way to keep us going and keep this channel happening. So there it is. Okay, so what are you going to need today? Let's go over that, okay? So today you're going to need 16 gauge wire, a little bit of fine silver. I have some scrap, of course, and some Bally, what do we call these? Bally spacer beads of any shape or size. We also have that on our website. If you don't have any, want to get started, it's a nice little collection of Bally beads so that you can get started and just have some samples to play with, okay? You'll need a 5/8 dowel rod. We also have these wooden dowel rods, which are really handy to have in the studio in all the different sizes. So we do have that as a set on the website. A metal file, of course, to file those edges down. Wait. Oh, yeah. Okay. A solder setup, a chasing hammer of any kind. Some heavy-duty cutters are nice, and a pair of chain nose pliers with the teeth. I know, totally like out there for me. I rarely ever use it, but this is an optional item along with the tube cutting pliers. You're going to be like, where do these come into play? I'll show you in a little bit, but we're not cutting tubes today, however. A pair of flush cutters, solder, and 2 bench blocks will make your life a lot easier today, okay? So we'll set that here so you can see what's going on. And first things first. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to make the earrings, and then we're going to, again, step it up a little bit by giving it a little bit more dimensions. You can see I have this curve shaped into it, okay? So let's review how we did that before. You're just going to take out some, 16 gauge copper wire and start wrapping it around a 5/8 dowel rod. You're going to do this for every length that you need depending on your bracelet size. So you're going to need anywhere between 8 and 10 if you have a. Keep wrapping it around a dowel rod just like so. Makes life a lot easier. Just like that. And then take out your cutters. I'm going to go ahead and use my Kiba cutters because I love them, and just cut right down the line just like so. And you'll make a bunch of rings. Now you'll always notice the first one always has this like funky line to it because you didn't coil it around. So the best, I always just sort of discard that one because it's a struggle and I just go with the round ones, okay? So then the next one, I always trim this off a little bit with a pair of flush cutters because there's a bevel cut on there, or you can file it if you don't have ultra flush cutters. So if you haven't invested in one of these, you really want to, because it just saves a lot of filing. We all know how I feel about filing. It's never fun. And despite the fact that they're ultra flush cutters, you will need to file it just a little bit if you want to create a really nice joint. Okay, I'm going to zoom in so you can see what's going on here. Take out that file, and let's file the edges. Be careful when you're filing not to file anything else. So a lot of people, when they do this, they forget that they're touching another piece. So try not to do that. It's just a little tiny bit of filing just to take off that bit of a bevel. And then, oh, you know what else I forgot? I forgot you want a pair of bow opening pliers too for this project. That's what these are. So this is 16 gauge copper again. So the whole project's going to be done in 16 gauge. Now, you can do this with 18 gauge copper if you want to, but my suggestion is to make the links a lot smaller because it's not going to be rigid enough, okay? So the smaller you go, the more rigid it is. Wow, and the storm rolls in. I can hear the trees and the wind, and there's thunder out there. Okay. Good thing I took down the patio umbrella this morning. All right, so once you file the edges, bring those together like a jump ring and just work until it is perfect. I'm gonna give it a little tiny squeeze like so with a pair of pliers, and it just brings it down nicely. You know, the better you make this, the less cleanup you have after soldering. All right, I'll set that aside. And do one more. We'll do 2 of them. Clearly, I don't need to be doing a whole bunch of them because it's already made. All right, so I'm going to set it right here on my magnesia block. You can also use a solder board. That's fine too, or a honeycomb soldering board. That's absolutely fine. I just happen to be using my magnesia block today because we're going to make a couple of granules. Okay, here we're going to go ahead and use some copper solder. Well, because then there's very little cleanup, and I'm going to go to the inside because I don't want to have to clean this up. There it is. So tiny little bit. Set that down, and I like my solder to face down because I want to draw the solder up through the joint. It makes for a lot cleaner of a joint. Okay. So now we're just going to heat right there on the joint. It's copper, so you don't have to heat the whole thing or anything like that. And remember, these projects, especially the minimal metal projects, you can switch out for any metal that you want. So if you prefer to do silver, you can definitely do this in silver or brass or even gold filled. By the way, if you're doing gold filled, we do have gold filled solder paste on our website. It's one of the newer items that we've started carrying for all you gold filled people. Okay. So solder those joints, give it a little quench. Do the other one. And let's pickle that. Let's make sure that we have a good joint. Yup. I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the pickle. Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to cut 2 pieces of wire. See. I'm going to approximate it because I don't know exactly what my size is going to be. So I'm going to approximate it at about 1 inch. Okay. And we want to make sure that these are really straight because we're going to solder them side by side. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to put it onto a bench block, and with another one, I'm going to put it right over the top and I'm going to roll it. You see? And so now they're nice and straight, and when they sit side by side, it's perfect. So we'll go ahead and solder that while the rings are pickling. And same thing here, we're going to put copper solder paste on here. And I'm going to put a little bit on each end and a teeny weeny little bit in the middle. I want to try to keep this as neat as possible, but I do want the solder to run all the way through the whole entire piece. I know I'm not going to need the whole thing, but you know what? So there. So. Okay, and now we just heat it and get that to solder together. Make sure that it runs all the way down the middle. You have those days where you can't see anything. That's how I feel today. Okay, I'm helping it along just by holding it together. They didn't sit so flat on my magnesia block. So probably better to do this on a honeycomb block or a solder board. Okay, so we're soldered together very nicely. I'm going to put this in the pickle too. Ow! That was my torch. Golly. Okay, as if I didn't already burn myself the last time. Okay, throw that into the pickle. And let's grab our rings out. Pickle, for some reason, is extra hot today. Okay. Give it a good rinse. I guess I could use a little bit more pickling, but hey, let's just keep moving. All right, so here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this back onto my ring mandrel and make them round. Just make sure that it's nice and round, because it gives me a nice good start, right? And then we're going to hammer them. Actually, I'm sorry, we have to make it into an oval first, and then we'll hammer them. So if your joint is not very good, go ahead and sand it now, sand and file it, and make it really nice. And then we'll pull out our bow opening pliers. So bow opening pliers, what's so great about these? When you squeeze, they open. That's the opposite of your pliers, so it makes it really nice. And what I like to do is I like to put the opening on the end of my plier, or on the end of the oval instead of on the side. Seems to do a little bit better. And we're just going to stretch it out a little bit, just like that. So we have a nice oval. So do that for every link, of course. So we're just, you know, for the links, it's just a chain. So you're just going to be doing repetitive units. Unless you don't want them to be all the same. Then don't do the same thing. Okay, there we are. And then I'm going to hammer the ends. I just want it to have more texture. For me, when you start hammering parts of a piece, it gives it a little more texture and a little bit more definition instead of just hammering the entire thing, because leaving it just round or hammering the entire thing is more or less the same thing, right? So we're going to hammer it to about half the thickness of your 16 gauge wire. Hammering it with your chasing hammer. Okay, so then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and pull out, the 2 bars out of the pickle here. And let's start setting out. Okay, again, don't know why my pickle is so hot today. You know, sometimes it's just not hot enough, and days like today, it's just extra hot. Okay, so now you want to measure how much you want. So I'm going to go ahead and trim one side first. and this is going to go to the middle. So you can either eyeball this or you can mark this, up to you. We'll go ahead and to change the width of that oval, or else it won't fit properly because you need it to touch. Okay, we'll give a little quick file on that. And the rain is officially here. Is that rain? Oh yeah, it's gotten dark out there. So just a little bit too big, as you can see, not good. So I'm gonna file that instead of cutting it because I just need a little bit off. And because there's a slight bow in this, I'm filing to that curve just so it fits better. Come on. Okay, we'll do the other side too, same thing. There we go. Okay. So that fits nicely. Let's put this away. I'm going to find a flatter surface to do with this on. Again, oh, you know what? I forgot I didn't make granules yet. So we'll set that aside. Let's make some granules. So I'm going to take out my fine silver wire and we'll give it a gentle hammer because we don't want the stuff to roll away when we go to make granules. The design is such that I have 2 larger granules and a smaller one for the center of that ballet bead. So it's up to you. It doesn't matter what you decide you want to do here. So I want 2 pieces that are about the same size. I'm going to give it a little bend because it'll make granules a little bit more easily. Like so. And then we'll make a small one. There. Okay, so to make granules, all you need to do, you'll get a nice surface on the granule. If you're using sterling silver, it's going to look sort of like a raisin. And it's not really, it's a little bit easier to get the silver to become nice and smooth. It takes a little practice, but it does work. And I always try to pick it up before it's completely cool, then it doesn't get stuck in, oh, that little piece, are you going to come? Oh, so it doesn't get stuck into the magnesia or the bottom of a solder board. Did you guys hear the crackling? Yeah, that storm totally like rolled in on us. Okay, so let's pull this out. Oops. I got, okay, that's still nothing. There we go. 1, 2, 3. It's just rolled around and get all of the little bits of magnesia block off. And I'm using the teeniest little granules today. Well, okay, it's feeling really small. Didn't quite cut enough wire here. All right, I'm gonna make these a little bit bigger, so it's a good lesson, why not? So to make it a little bit bigger, I'm just gonna cut a little bit more wire and I'm gonna fuse it right to it. So I'm putting the granules back on. I know it's really hard to see because the magnesia block is like all over the place here. And I'm putting this silver right next to it and it should just all fuse together. Let's see if we can get that really tight for you. There it is. Okay. That's better. Okay. And right before it cools, I'm going to pick it up and quench it. You don't want to grab it before it's You don't want to grab it when it's too hot because you'll just mush it, you know, because it's still soft. So you'll learn. The more you do it, the more you'll recognize when you can pick it up and when you can't. Okay, so there's my granules. They're much bigger now, yay. And of course I lost the other one. Oh no, it's on top of my bally bead. Whoa, okay, that's cleaned up. I'm gonna go to a flat spot on here. Actually, you know what? Why? Let's just move this over. Let's just put it on here. Okay, solder board, much better. Missing pieces. Oh, there it is. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put some solder on each end paste. Okay, so the question again is, what is the gauge on the copper wire? It is 16 gauge. By the way, the details of this project is on the Q Talk Facebook page, posted with the, oh, what am I thinking? With the posting. So, from last night, announcing the project. Just let you know, something that you can refer back to at any time. Okay. Okay. You know what? It's not straight. Let me fix that. Okay. And of course I squeezed it in so tight that I couldn't get it out. There we go. Much better. Okay, so I have solder on each end. So you can solder this in several steps, or you can solder in one. You know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna solder in one. Of course, why wouldn't I? So I'm gonna take a little bit of, again, copper solder, and we're gonna put it right in the middle, like so, for the bally bead. Okay, that's not it. Whoa. Wait. Okay. Because we need something between the bally bead and the copper, of course. Up to you what direction you want this to sit. I'm going to make it a diamond because it's just sort of fun. We're going to grab the small granule, find the bottom, it makes it a lot easier, dip it into the solder paste and stick it right there. And then we'll grab our larger granules. You can make the granules all the same size if you want to. That is up to you. There was too much solder, so I'm moving that over here, and then I'm just going to put the next one on top of that. So you can make all the same size granule. I like the differences because it brings, again, a lot of texture. Whoa, don't go. Okay. Like that. Okay. I'm ensuring that everybody's on and balanced, giving it a little touch just to make sure so it doesn't roll away. However, I'm going to keep a solder pick in hand just in case something decides to roll away, then I can catch it and push it back. Let's zoom in while we torch here. All right. That little bit of solder is just bothering me. You do want to keep it as clean or as tidy as possible. Okay. So we'll just heat this whole thing. Make sure that you're heating the wire in the middle and not just from the top, because that wire down here, that middle bar, it needs to get hot so that the solder flows evenly between the joints. I'm going to start on one side here until it flows. I'm going to go to the other side, make sure that flows, and then I'm going to do the middle. Nicely. Give it a second to set because it is copper. You know, I was working with brass yesterday. I was making these rings. I was actually making like grommets, and I got really ambitious with it. I heated all the way, the solder flowed, and as soon as it flowed, I forgot the whole let it set thing. I know that that was a solid connection. I know there was more than enough solder. I grabbed it, I threw it into the quench water, and you know, that joint went, it completely split perfectly. So it wasn't set enough, and that impact with the cold water made it split. It was interesting. It's the first time that's ever happened to me, but it was a lesson learned. Thought I'd share that. So we'll go ahead and quench it. Let's see. Oh, I think I did it. Ooh. Okay, so this has to be like really, really nice and soldered, or else the next step, it's not going to work. So let's go ahead and put this in the pickle one more time. While it's pickling, I am going to heat up my liver of sulfur. Okay, so it was a fairly easy project. I think it was a nice change up to what was there before. You know, if you were watching Twitch back when I haven't done a Twitch on a Saturday in several months. It's been really busy here. But when I was developing this project, it was a little challenging. And I did it very quickly. And there was a certain part, I was thinking that we would do another bar across the middle, but it really looked like a cross, and I didn't want a cross. So that's how, again, it was developed so quickly, and that's why I wanted it, which I'm going to show you here in a second. It made it really interesting in that it didn't lay perfectly straight. I actually like how it's sort of dancing around diagonally. It just gives it a lot of play. Okay. Pickle is officially warm. Let's see if this piece comes out. Again, hot pickle. So why am I complaining about the hot pickle? Because the basket inside of the pickle, I have to pick up the basket, and the basket's just really, really hot today. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to clean this up just a little bit before I throw it into the liver sulfur. And to get into these little spots has like gotten sort of nasty and completely wackadoo, you can take out your cutters and trim it. And now you have a nice brass brush again. So this is one of our scratch brushes. I've been really enjoying it for these tiny little spaces. Yes, you can throw this in the tumbler. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put this in the liver sulfur. To be really nice and dark. Make sure you rinse that well before you touch it with your hands, or else your hands are going to smell like, poopy. Okay, so I'm doing all of this before I bend it because it's easier for me to get into these little spaces while it is still flat. Okay, so I'm cleaning this up with some steel wool. And actually I'm going to go back to the brass brush. Okay. And see what a nice job it does getting into these little places. It just cleans it up. Okay. There it is. All right, so here comes the magic of this whole thing. You know, when I was making this the second time, I was thinking, how do I want to bend this? And I just sort of played with it and went, oh, wow, it happens every single time, just perfectly. So this is where those pliers with the teeth in them come into play. But I don't even like using these. So if you have a tube cutting plier, I know, totally crazy, but it works. All right, is just put it in here, believe it or not, and it's going to bend. Look at that. Perfectly. Like, it was just sort of me looking at my tools and going, what can I use to bend this? And there it is. And look, see, it's so cool. It makes this nice little undulation down here on both sides perfectly. And it's like a little buckle. Okay, so from there, we're going to connect all these pieces. I'm using 2 jump rings. Heck, you can go crazy and do 3 or 4. That makes you happy. So, Andy and I keep losing connection. If you're wondering what that is, that's Andy trying to call me. So take out your chain nose pliers and let's connect these. Go. We'll open and close a couple jump rings. Of course, you want to go ahead and patina the jump rings also so they match. By the way, what happens when you forget a piece of metal in your liver of sulfur for the last 2 weeks? I don't know about you, but my liver of sulfur, when I go to use it or make it, I keep it in a jar and I close up the jar and I leave it there just in case it's still good the next time I go to use it, because then it does not become wasteful. If you have fresh liver of sulfur, it should last a few days, and depending on where you store it, it might even last a few weeks. So I always keep it there. So then what happened? I left a jump ring in my liver of sulfur, I'm guessing for the last month. And I saw that in there when I went to clean out my jar to make fresh. And I was like, oh, look, I left a piece in there. And you know, interesting, when I went to pick it up, it completely disintegrated. So the liver of sulfur ate it up. So don't think it is, something sort of benign. It's not. It is oxidizing and eating your metal. All right, so there, you're going to connect all the pieces until you have enough to make a bracelet. Let's go ahead and make a clasp really quickly here. So we'll go ahead and cut, need a ruler, about 1 3/4 inches of said 16 gauge wire, just like so. We'll pull out all our multi-looping plier because that's always nice to make a clasp with. And actually I'm going to trim this end just to make sure it is nice and flush. Give it a little bit of filing. It's easier to file up front than to file after you have bent it. I'm going to use the smallest part because I like my loops really small. So we're just going to make a really small loop like that. Did I say like that? And going in the opposite direction, I'm going to put it to the largest loop of my multi-looping plier. And we're just going to go around like so. Let's see. And see how I'm working that? Just to make it round. And we're going to bend it down. If that's too big for you, then trim it. I feel like that's a hair big. So I'm trimming off about 1/8. And I want this to be just a little smaller. There we go, like that. Because this is considered a tension set clasp, you want to go ahead and give it a little bit of a hammering to flatten up and to harden your metal on that shoulder. That's it. if this is too big, again, not a big deal. Just move it down a little bit, okay? Of course, you'll want to go ahead and liver sulfur that too. Give it a good rinse. And attach it to the other side. This, your catch will simply be the link. If you really wanted to, add a jump ring for the catch. I would use an 8mm jump ring for the catch. Now, a lot of times when you're making a linked bracelet, you're sort of in between links and you can't seem to get to the size. So to do that, just add a jump ring instead, because maybe a whole link makes it too long. So by adding a jump ring or two, it gets you halfway there so that you can get to the size that you're looking for. Okay. So that is our makeover Monday of the Caprice earrings, and that is our, oh, what am I thinking? That's our bracelet. Okay. So hopefully you learned a little something. Again, if you want the downloadable for this, it is on our website at theurbanbeater.com. And if you've already ordered the Caprice previously, just log into your account at theurbanbeater.com and you will be able to download this set of instructions, and along with, oh, and by the way, obviously, if you purchase it now, you will also get the instructions for the earrings. So you'll get both at this point for the special price of $5. Anyway, so hopefully I've answered everybody's questions. I think this was a pretty straightforward project. I'll be back on Wednesday with another UFO instead of Melody, but I am excited about the UFO. There's going to be a Zoom along this Friday. Sully will be there. If you guys want some entertainment, or not entertainment, but if you want some company during your bench time, everybody will be benching together while I'm in Mississippi. Anyway, until Wednesday, have a great rest of the day. Hopefully our storm is not rolling into your town. Hopefully it'll just stay here for everybody. But in the meantime, I'm going to start packing. All right, have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining in and hanging out with me for 42 minutes. All right, have a great rest of the day.